So we are already in the last week of July of 2025, and so far the reshoots for With Love Meghan Season 2 have been an absolute disaster for numerous reasons out there that we've talked about many times, but I'll say it once and I'll say it again. But Meghan Markle is overly demanding, but she's not just overly demanding, she's very difficult to work with, which is exactly why Netflix executives and producers have been having a very tough time with these reshoots as of late. However, one very big discovery going on right now over at Netflix, of course, between Ted Sarandos, Greg Peters, and Meghan Markle and exactly what's going on over there is actually becoming an even bigger situation than we actually previously thought. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, we already know that Season 2 is destined to be a bigger ratings disaster than Season 1 for obvious reasons, and look, the reason why I say Season 2 is because that's what Netflix is calling Season 1 Part 2, which is what it really is, let's be real, but they're labeling it and they're branding it and promoting it as a second season to make it seem or come across as more successful than it really is. However, focusing on all of this, alright, we know that ever since Meghan Markle lost her contract deal over at the company and how they want nothing to do with her anymore and how her contract deal will indeed be expiring by this September, it will not be renewed, it will not be going past September of 2025, and that's a very big deal. However, what's interesting here has a lot more to do with the fact of what's going on between the executives, the producers, and exactly what they recently discovered after Meghan Markle was essentially not only demoted, but was also let go and fired by Netflix and just pretty much given the boot from the studio after this contract comes to an end. Now, ever since Meghan Markle's contract at Netflix got cancelled by the CEOs and executives over there, Meghan Markle has been truly going off the rails in the worst way possible. Now, one significant development going on now involves more to do with Meghan Markle's shocking secrets that were recently uncovered by Netflix executives as they were cleaning out her office when she was not only an executive producer, but also had full creative power/control over Season 2. Now, one discovery that is now spreading throughout all of Netflix HQ, get this, and stirring up all kinds of drama, involves how executives uncovered storyboards and illustrations of planned scenes that Meghan Markle had mapped out with Kamala Harris before Harris decided to quit from Season 2 for her cameo. Now, it turns out that Meghan Markle was not only going to have Kamala Harris join on for a cameo, but that his surprise guest was also going to join in on a full-on President Trump bashing session, so to speak, while they drink wine in the kitchen. The other guest, surprisingly, was going to be AOC, also known as Alexandria Cortez. The entire scene was indeed created by Meghan Markle, where the entire trio was going to dive deep into politics, and they were going to not only bash Trump for a long-winded 7.5 minutes of episode 4 for Season 2, but that they were also going to put up images of Trump mocking him while drinking different brands of wine. Not so shockingly, this is what previously and officially got Kamala Harris interested in joining the episode before things fell apart between Meghan and Harris, when they actually tried to film the episode some weeks ago. The fact that this episode alone was going to be overly political is what sent Netflix into a state of panic, and how they realized that they had dodged a bullet on how, of course, demoting Meghan Markle was probably their best decision, and from her position as executive producer for Season 2. To make matters even worse is that Meghan Markle was also going to bring on Governor Tim Walz to cook with her on another separate episode to actually question Trump's policies and his supporters. All of these scene plans were deeply embedded in these documents that were uncovered by Netflix executives after they booted her from her contract deal, essentially. Now, shockingly, Meghan Markle is still begging Ted Sarandos, the CEO of Netflix, to this very day for a one-off project in light of her cancellation that would be an original idea. And those conversations, by the way, are already falling flat, as Ted has been ignoring Meghan Markle's requests lately as a way to actually shift away from her and to deflect her, essentially. Now look, we know one thing about Ted Sarandos is that he knows that he made a very big mistake. He knows that he's been very incompetent, I think. He's beginning to realize that nobody wants to actually follow Ted Sarandos anymore. That's why he's losing a lot of subscribers from his platform on Netflix. People are going to other platforms out there, whether it be HBO Max or Peacock or heck even Disney Plus at this point. I mean, that's how low it's beginning to get, because they're removing material, they're putting on subpar material and content while also raising rates, right? Raising prices for their plans on Netflix. And then at the same exact time, you have the goal to release content like With Love, Meghan Season 2. People just aren't having it anymore. Now, this is where it gets even, into a more shady situation, is that Meghan Markle, back when she had a lot of creative power, back when she was pretty much a full-fledged executive producer for Season 2, she was going to have Kamala Harris. She was going to have Tim Walz and AOC to join in on a whole Trump-bashing session in separate episodes. But the fact that she was going to have both AOC and Harris with her in the kitchen, drinking wine, mocking images of Trump, is just so out of this world crazy. It makes you wonder to yourself, why would they even allow her to actually be an executive producer right from the get-go if they knew her reputation beforehand? Because let's face it, we know that Greg Peters knew about her reputation. We know that a lot of producers knew about Meghan Markle's reputation, a very bad reputation, by the way. And it just goes to show you that they were incompetent, alright? Even, when you look at Ted Sarandos, he's the very reason as to why the show actually tainted the image of Netflix. Overall, even after all of that, after this recent, of course, discovery, reshoots went on a short break as a result for 2 to 3 days to sort out everything and to reorganize. Ted Sarandos is already making calls with Governor Gavin Newsom to work out a deal to cancel his appearance for one of the episodes in Season 2. Now, this entire situation already created chaos for Netflix, since Meghan Markle almost actually drove Netflix into a very damaging situation and state back when she held creative power for all of Season 2. Some documents were also even created after she was demoted by Netflix, which is something and another thing that the executives are now looking into even further. So the fact that she was actually creating illustrations, creating storyboards with her team of specific scenes, even after she was demoted, even after she was stripped away from her creative power, goes to show you how narcissistic she truly is. She believes that she's above all of these producers at Netflix, all of these CEOs at Netflix, there's 2 by the way, and a lot of the producers on board of this show in isolation. And it just really just is a shining example, a major example of who you should not hire as a production studio, right? Whether it's Netflix, Disney, Paramount, I don't care who it is. She is a big example of the very individual that you would never want to hire, and she should be set up as an example of this is what you don't want to do. This is what you actually do if you want to end up getting fired, right? Or if you want to end up getting demoted or stripped away from your creative power. Which is ultimately what happened, step by step by Netflix, right? It was a very long process, but it did happen. But overall, I mean, this whole season, it looks like it's going to be a very ugly mess. Once it does drop by this fall, they are still aiming for a late August to early September release date. It may even be later than that at this point, depending on reshoots, because they've been going through a lot of setbacks. But overall, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this ongoing scenario below in the comments between Meghan Markle and the executives. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.